2-year-old boy lost both his parents in the Highland Park, Illinois mass shooting that took place over the 4th of July holiday break. Aiden McCarthy was found bloodied and wandering alone after the shooting. In fact, when he was initially found, he was right by his father, who was bleeding out from a gunshot wound. So friends and authorities confirmed that the boy's parents, Kevin McCarthy, who is 37 years old, Irina McCarthy, 35, were among 7 people who were killed in this mass shooting. The little boy, Aiden, again 2 years old, was later reunited with his grandparents. His mother's parents will be taking care of him now that he doesn't have his own parents because they were shot and killed in yet another mass shooting in this country. And Aiden isn't unique. There are many people in this country who have lost their own children, who have lost their parents, who have lost their loved ones as a result of the so-called pro-life individuals in this country feeling that their little gun hobby is way more important than human lives. And by the way, literally no one is calling for a ban on guns, no one. So not only is their little gun hobby more important than human lives, not only is their gun hobby more important than the lives of these 2 parents that are now gone, okay? They just can't be inconvenienced with something like a background check. They can't be inconvenienced with things like, red flag laws to ensure that the severely mentally ill who might carry out these random acts of violence don't get their hands on a lethal weapon. They don't want to be inconvenienced. They don't want to be inconvenienced. Because fact of the matter is, no one had a discussion, no one's engaging in a debate about banning guns. We're having a conversation about common sense laws that will, in the very least, minimize the occurrences, the mass murders that we're experiencing on a daily basis. But they can't be inconvenienced by that. They can't. By the way, they want to tell you what you can and can't do with your body because they're supposedly pro-life. Garbage. And I'm sick of journalists taking what they say at face value and not calling them out on their hypocrisy when they claim they care about the lives of zygotes, but don't give a damn about living, breathing, Bible outside the womb human beings who are being gunned down in this country on a daily basis just so they can enjoy their little hobby. Just so they can enjoy their hobby with no inconveniences. So Lauren Silva found 2-year-old Aiden. My boyfriend handed me this little boy and said he was underneath his father who was shot in the leg. They were trying to stop the bleeding, so I brought the boy downstairs into the garage. Aiden was protected from the gunfire by Kevin's body. Even as the man lay wounded, Irina's father and Aiden's grandfather said. So here's 2-year-old Aiden, who doesn't have parents anymore because the right-wing, disgusting zealots in this country don't care about his parents. They don't care about Aiden's life. They don't care about living in a country that's actually safe and free. There's Irina and Kevin McCarthy. There's a GoFundMe fundraiser to raise money to help support Aiden, to help support his grandparents who will now be raising him. And if you would like to contribute to it, you can go to GoFundMe, and we'll provide a link for this fundraiser in the description box for the story. So apparently when they first found him, the little boy was asking for his parents. He kept asking, "Are mom and dad coming back soon?" And he kept saying the same thing to his grandfather. When I picked him up, he said, "Are mommy and daddy coming soon?" He doesn't understand. We are living in hell right now. This country is a disgrace. The leadership in this country, yes, I'm talking about Democratic leadership because they are in charge after all, disgrace. Republicans are part of a massive death cult in this country. They proved it to us during this lengthy pandemic when they were unwilling to do the bare minimum to keep themselves, their loved ones, and their community safe from a highly contagious and lethal virus. They've proven it to us when they continued pushing the use of pharmaceutical drugs to treat COVID when there was no scientific evidence indicating that it did in fact effectively treat COVID. We experienced it as they refused to wear masks. We experienced it as they refused to even entertain a conversation about common sense gun control. I believe in the right to bear arms. It is in our Constitution. I believe in having a weapon to protect yourself. I've talked about that on this show. I'm not an advocate for banning guns. I am an advocate for legislation, for laws that can help prevent the kind of mass shooting that the people in Highland Park, Illinois experienced over the 4th of July weekend. I'm a proponent of doing what's necessary to keep parents alive so they can raise their own children. So we don't have 2-year-old orphans running around. That's what I'm a proponent of. I'm a proponent of actual freedom, actual liberty. I'm a proponent of what this country was supposed to stand for, despite the fact that we have well-funded, right-wing organizations in this country that have slowly but surely chipped away at everything that this country was supposed to be about, everything that was supposed to make this country great. I know I'm all over the place with my commentary here, but I mean, what else is there left to say? They're doing what they can to burn books, to silence teachers, to censor social studies and history curriculum so they can rewrite history to their advantage and pretend like we're all morons and we don't know what's going on. As if we don't understand that there is one very specific group of people in this country who have shown us time and time again that their hobbies, that corporate profits, that pretty much everything that they value will take priority over human lives. Little Aiden's life was destroyed that day. And while the right wing pretends to care about babies, they pretend to care about, the precious babies, the precious babies. That's why we need to be authoritarians and take control over women's bodies, those precious babies. You don't care about babies. The right wing doesn't care about babies at all. They don't care about human lives. They will watch you wither away, suffer, waste away on the streets with your entire family, suffering from extreme poverty. And they'll point to you and be like, bootstraps, where are your bootstraps? Learn to use those bootstraps. We have endless gun deaths in this country and they don't care. They don't care. They don't care about any of us. And I'm sick of the fact, sick to my stomach, that all we have as a line of defense to protect us from these monsters in this country is sleepy Joe Biden. Homeboy couldn't even be bothered to visit Illinois. He sent Kamala Harris, gotta take my nap. Too busy scheming with Mitch McConnell to provide a lifetime judgeship to an anti-choice right-wing zealot in Kentucky. That's what Joe Biden's up to. That's the Democratic leadership that's supposed to protect us from the authoritarians, from all the death, all the pain, all the suffering that's very intentionally implemented upon all of us by the right wing in this country. I do this show every day, and I'm supposed to come on screen and pretend like I'm some sort of robot with no emotion. I'm supposed to read about a 2-year-old boy who is an orphan now and pretend like, no, I'm just here to give you the news. I'm just here to give you the facts of the story and let's move it along. What's the next story? What's the next issue? Ooh, news cycle's always moving. This country's broken. It's an embarrassment. And every time someone says exactly what I just said right now, you have right wingers up in arms. You have Republicans up in arms. How dare they say that this country is not great? This country is not great. We are a laughing stock. We are an embarrassment on the international stage. We aggressively support policies that kill members of our own communities. That is what this country is about. Half of it is part of a death cult. The other half is just weak, embarrassing, pathetic, lays down and lets all this happen. That is what America is. Ain't nothing to be proud about. What are you guys proud about? I want someone to tell me, what are we supposed to be proud about with America and where it's at in this very moment? We're a 2-year-old becoming an orphan as a result of politicians' failure to do the basic minimum, the bare minimum in protecting Americans. Like, are we supposed to be proud of this? How are we supposed to claim that we're living in a free country? Do you feel free when you're afraid for your life every time you're at a public event because a mass shooter could just open fire with no problem? Do you feel free knowing that any lunatic can go to a gun show and buy whatever weapon, however many weapons they want from the back of someone's truck? No background checks, nothing standing in his or her way. But let's keep it real, his way. Let's keep it real, ladies and gentlemen. All the fear mongering about Muslim terrorists in America, how laughable is that? When, I don't know, I feel like every week there's another 20-something white guy who decides I'm depressed, or I'm worried about immigrants, or I'm worried about this, I'm worried about that. So let me just go and murder a bunch of people. Because what's gonna stop him, right? You got Tucker Carlson almost defending the shooter, claiming like, can you blame him? I mean, poor white guy living in an era where all these women are telling him how unfair the world is and how he's a privileged guy. Yeah, it's the women's fault. It's the women's fault that a 22-year-old white guy decided to take the guns that he purchased legally, okay? He purchased guns legally after the cops showed up to his home on 2 different occasions. Once after he threatened to kill himself, once after he claimed he was gonna kill everyone else with his massive inventory of swords and knives. After that, let me repeat, after that, he purchased guns legally and then proceeded to destroy the lives of the individuals who were at that parade in Highland Park, Illinois. What is there to be proud of? Someone tell me. We control people's bodies. We sow hate and division. We overthrow democratically elected leaders in other countries. What is there to be proud of? I'm not proud to be American. I have so much embarrassment in my heart every single day sitting at this desk, sharing these stories with you, because this is where I was born. This is my country, this is my identity. And all we do is engage in actions that lead to pain and suffering, both within our borders and outside our borders. And then we puff up our chests and pretend like we live in the greatest country in the world. No, we don't.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.